it is. We're out here in the outback trying to save your sheep.
From foxes?
From foxes, yeah. I'll just log the thermal scope into a screen here just so you guys can see it. Normally I don't, and that's why I sort of blue tacked it in place. That's a farmer where we're going tonight. Yep. I'm sure you picked up on that. Obviously I'm sort of running you through the setup. I'll be back. Just out here are two small fox cubs. Hey, those sheep, they're like Wiltshire, Dorper, Damara sort of, they're all poles, aren't they? They don't grow horns.
Yeah.
And then they drop young year round sporadically, or they breed twice a year? I'm pretty sure it's sporadic.
Yeah, you might get 2 lots in a year, or you might get 3 in 2 years. Dorpers are good like that, they're fertile.
Yeah,
and yeah, they have lambs all year round.
I guess what I'm trying to say is it's as far as the mob is concerned, they don't all drop on the around the same time in spring. They drop sporadically through the year. So
yeah, they do. That's right.
Yeah.
You control that with putting the ram in at a certain time if you want them to drop all at the same time.
Yeah. Do you run a weather with them?
Only when I'm doing AIs.
Okay.
Because you get a weather and then you pump them full of testosterone and then it starts dry humping all the ewes, which then helps to trigger them all into a cycle at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
And then when you AI them, they're all, at the peak of ovulation.
Yeah. Don't you understand, William, that while you're over in Bali, on your tropical island, drinking God knows what, probably pina coladas, we're out here in the outback trying to save your sheep?
From foxes?
From foxes, yeah.
Some sheep are more inclined to come on to heat at a certain time, like the English breed, like my Chevrolets, which are French, but whatever, European breed, they like to come on to heat in like late December, January. That's just when they naturally like to come on to heat.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's got to do with so many hours a day, like over so many days. So they will have a tight lambing, but like you say, things like Dorpers, they just get pregnant all year round. And like our clean skin sheep, you fucking see lambs all year round.
Yeah. Those clean skins I moved the other day, actually, they had, I think 4 or 5 of them had little lambs. A couple were pregnant.
Yeah. Where'd you move them?
I just picked them up from old mate's block and took them up to Gary's a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
Now we're pretty much set up to go. We've got the spotlight, we've got the thermal, it's logged into the camera. I'll just log the thermal scope into a screen here just so you guys can see it. Normally I don't, and that's why I sort of blue tacked it in place, but because I'm just looking through the rifle, shooting the roos. Predominantly that's what this setup's for. I do some professional kangaroo shooting. I shoot into a trailer on the back, but the last thing I do once I'm in the vehicle is actually put the ammo in the gun. Normally I'm alone, but regardless, don't want it pointing at any person or at myself. It's mainly a safety thing. So, yep, that'll be us. We jump in now and get started. But if you want to maybe hook around here, I'll just sort of show you the setup and what I've got going on in the back. Obviously, yeah, we're going for foxes. if there's a goat or deer or whatever out there, which there's a chance there may be, we'll take the opportunity and pop one of those. So it's always nice to have something to sort of hang your game animals off. This is set up for roos. I normally shoot into a trailer, but I'll hang them off here, bleed them out, and then throughout the night I'll slowly start transferring them across. Toolbox has got the little boxes of gear in it. I'm not going to go through all that, but everything's got its own purpose. The side here we've got water sanitizer. I've got these white lights running, so got the Christmas beetles as well this time of year, so coming into the heat they'll show up in droves and come and smash these white lights. The little LED strip lights that I've got running around this unit here it does a couple of things. So one is obviously we can see the work. I can see the ground as well for trip hazards and things like that. Safety is pretty important in general in a workplace, but especially out in the bush, and even more so when you're by yourself. The other thing is too, I leave it on full time when I'm shooting roos. They know you're there, they can hear the engine running, they can hear you driving around through the paddocks. For me, I think it's better for them to be able to see you as well and keep an eye on you. And then, yeah, if they don't take off over the hillside, you can pull up and take a few cracks at them. We'll turn it off tonight when we're whistling foxes. They're a bit more nervous, but yeah, that's what that's for. Got my crane sort of set up here. Little button on the side, so in and out under the bottom. I've also got a manual one as a backup. As anyone knows, electronic gear at some point it'll fail, and you're not going to know that this has failed really unless you're using it. So I always do the pre-start checks like they tell you to do in any good business, and it's running. But by the time you get out to the bush, you're rattled up and down the dirt tracks or what have you. That's when it's realistically that's when it's going to fail. And then in the back here, I've just got an array of knives, sort of little 5-inch boner, predominantly what I use for butting out and cutting the roos. I have sort of squashed these sections in here so that they don't rattle out. This one here, you can see it's been sharpened 50 million times. And then finally, this is a little tripe knife. This is used for gutting. You'll see that the tip here, it's quite rounded, so it's just got the rounded tip on the end. But yeah, that's the setup. And then yeah, when I've got my trailer on the back, they'll all be on this slide rail here. So that's just like your normal sort of butcher's hooks, and that'll just sit on the rail or have a roo hanging off it to the other side of the vehicle so they can bleed out, or just hang them here off the back, whatever the case may be. Trailer's got a few rails down it. I'll just lift them up with this crane, hook them on and slide them into the trailer, and when I get to the processor I just slide them straight out the back end into their chiller. So once they're lifted up on this, that's it, then just transferred across, and mainly using machinery to do it. The little ones, no worries, lift them up and pop them on there myself, but yeah, those big boomers save your back and lift them up with the crane. If you have a listen now, actually it's probably a good thing, just pause for a sec. I don't know if the audio is going to pick that up, but I can hear a vehicle in the distance, and who really knows? I'd estimate at least 400 or 500 metres. I know where the farmhouse is to the south of us here, and that's about 500 metres. So if that vehicle's in and around that property, that's about where it is. I can't see any lights or anything like that. And that just goes back to my point before, that the foxes, they have exceptional hearing, right? The foxes and cats, they know we're here before we even know we're here. They would have heard us coming up that gravel road, turning in here. Certainly would have heard the car doors closing, me coughing. I've had a few bugs in my throat since we pulled up here. As best as we can, we normally try to not make too much noise. Obviously I'm sort of running you through the setup. I'll be back. Oh, we can hear that vehicle a fair distance. I couldn't tell you how far. The foxes can hear it. They can hear us. They can probably hear the fan that's running in my car right now. So when we get out into the paddock, I'll get set up where I want to get set up. We might have a little squeak or whatever, but we'll probably just pull up for a bit. give them an opportunity to calm down before we start calling them. And you know, like the gunshots that we let off tonight, foxes will hear those, you know, more than 5 k's away definitely. One of the calls I make does 120 decibels, and I think it's like 25,000 hertz or something like that. And I think a human, maybe, I think they can hear like 18,000, something along those lines. So it hits a higher pitch than what a human being can hear. But the foxes can hear it. And at one point I did, on a nice calm morning out on a runway of all places, I did use an airborne ultrasonic monitor. That's how come I know how loud that unit is. And then we just stepped out every 100 metres out to a couple of k's down the runway, and sort of got a really good sort of understanding of the curve of the sound that unit makes. And yeah, we estimate a fox and a cat can hear that at 5 kilometres, which is about 3 and a bit miles for those of you overseas. Yeah, so there's no real need for us to blow that really loud tonight. If we blow the guts out of it straight away and there's something close, there's every chance it's just going to turn and run away. It's going to get shocked. Yeah, that fight, freeze, flight sort of innate sort of response that animals and humans have, and yeah, it may choose flight and might take off. So yeah, nice and soft, and then we'll work our way up to ones that might be further out that might want to come in before we give up on that area and move. The secondary screen here, which I've set up just so you guys can see it. I'm casting from this HIC Micro Stella 2.0 SQ50 scope. I've got it set up with picture-in-picture, so that's to say that...
Are you recording on the screen?
Yeah, I'm not recording this right now. I can just see it. I can record it.
Yeah, if you record it, then we can use it in the footage.
All right, well, I'll record it. So yeah, I'm just see if I can aim it somewhere that's a bit easier to see. Well, there we go. See these sort of trees off in the distance. The main screen set up in here, the little LCD screen is set up so I can just see sort of, not panoramic, but I can see as much as it can see. It's on 3.3 power. And then there's a smaller screen that I've selected for picture-in-picture. So basically what that is a small screen up on the top of it. So when I choose to zoom in, it's a digital zoom, so you lose quality of the image really quickly. Just at the moment, that's just how it is. But yeah, wherever I'm putting the main reticle on the main screen, and then I look up to the picture-in-picture, those two reticles align at the same place. So I'll select the animal, and then when I zoom in on it, I can see it through the smaller picture, take the shot, and I can still see what's going on around me as well, sort of not peripheral vision necessarily, but I can still see what's happening, and then move on to the next animal. Whereas if you just use the scope to zoom in, which you can do, and take the shot, sometimes you don't even know if you hit the animal, if it fell down, or necessarily where it is. You certainly can't see the others that are moving away. On the second screen here, that's where I've got my thermal camera set up. That's the main one I'll use tonight while we're driving around to look for animals. If we chance upon a fox, primarily we're here for foxes tonight, so if we chance upon one, then we'll have a crack at it, because why not? But otherwise we'll go and get set up in a more likely location, and we'll try and call them in. Final thing I'm going to do now is put the ammo in the rifle. This is a 223 Remington. There's the pill there, a little 55 grain pill, and yeah, it'll certainly do the job on a fox. It'll end it. So yeah, I'll chuck 6 rounds in. It's a 5-shot top loader, but I'll pop a 6th one in there anyway. I use a top loader because when my unit sat, or rifle sat in this frame, trying to get a magazine in and out would be a nightmare. A lot of people don't like the top loaders, but for me it works perfectly. And 6 shots is plenty for what we're doing here tonight. So that's 5 in the magazine. It's a 5-shot unit, and then the 6th one I'll just ever so gently put down the spout there until I feel it feel it going into the barrel, or down into the receiver anyway, and then I'll push this top one down, slide the bolt across the top of it, so then that way it's not pushing up against the back of it, and that's it. I won't engage it until I'm ready to shoot. But yeah, now it's got 6 rounds in it and I'm good to go shooting. One of the cool things is actually getting access to a property for a hunter, you know. Especially in Western Australia where we are, it's very difficult to get access to properties that have decent animals on them, and just access in general. I think at the start of the night, you know, at least for me, one of the cool things is just that expectation of, you know, not an expectation, but just like the beginning of a hunt. Obviously you can't hunt. We just saw a fox on the highway on the way in just then. There's a little mouse just here. So this is in this laneway. You see that at the end of the lane there? Oh, it's quite bulky. I'd say it's probably a kangaroo. Oh, it's bigger than a fox anyway. There could be a pig. There are pigs on this property. I'd say that's a brew. What I'll do is the scope is a much better piece of equipment. Yeah, it's a brew. It's too elongated to be a pig. It's a brew bent over feeding. But yeah, just the whole, you know, gaining access to a place to go hunting is a challenge in and of itself. And then once you get through, you know, I was just saying before I got interrupted by that roo. What's happening with this camera? It's lagging a bit. You know, we saw that fox on the highway on the way in, but there's nothing we can do about that, right? We can't shoot on public land. We certainly can't shoot on the road. And you know, if it ran into a farm, we couldn't shoot on that farm because we don't have access to that farm. So, you know, just that feeling of, you know, potential or opportunity or whatever the case may be once you get in the gate is pretty cool. It's one of those things. It's like, you know, it's. I didn't need that on there.
No, all good.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. I reckon rocking up to a farm and accessing the gate's good. I think, you know, being entrusted, like it's just turned midnight now. We're driving past 2 houses. The one off to the right here, people are renting, and the one on the left is the manager of the farm. And the fact that he allows us to come in here, you know, any time of the day or night. You know, his family's here, his children are here, got little kids in there. You know, they trust us to do the right things while we're here and not disturb the family, and you know, it's a really cool thing, man. And then almost none of the farms have pin pad access, so this is a larger working farm, so that's why it's got the pin for us to get in. But yeah, just being given a set of keys to a place, or you know, access to a gate code. Like some of them will have a physical gate code that, you know, one of those sort of twisty lock sort of things. It is a really cool thing. That is. Jump exactly where I want it. So that's a male jumping behind, but it's not massive. So I reckon I will, if I can line up this little one here, I reckon I will take it. There we go. Yeah, the way the male's jumping, he's not huge. Let's make sure there's no structure behind us, which there's not. So just with this tiny amount of growth when you're shooting, you know, this animal's below that height, and so it really, like, it's only about 5 meters or 6 or 7 or whatever, and you won't be able to see it. But anyway, so that's why we put the light where it was. That's why I set the thermal and the light up together, so that when something drops, you know, we estimate how far it is. I thought it was around 70, 80 metres. It's probably closer to 100 if we look back to the vehicle there, but either way, here it is. It's a little eating size one. We're going to go chucking the chiller up the top there for the farmer. You know, for the animal welfare, the first thing is we make sure it's dead. And what we would normally do if there was an eye available is we would look at that eye, and it should have like a glazed look about it. And if you touch the eye with your finger or anything, if the eye instinctively reacts, then you know that in its brain it's still got some activity. This thing doesn't have a brain left. I probably won't show you the other side of its head, but yeah, it's basically pulled one eye through and it's pushed the other out the other side, and it's not doing well. So that's the first thing we do, is, you know, check and ensure that it's actually deceased. The top of the chest bone here, you'll feel the throat, and then a bit further down the chest bone. So you don't want to pierce the throat. There's a bunch of bacteria in there, and obviously you don't want your blade touching the bone either. So you just find that sweet spot in between, poke the knife in once into the heart, pull it out. You can see that's hit its heart there. So we've had a bit of a chat since we got here, so I'll just get it up now and see if we can get some blood draining. Talking to someone earlier on today online, actually, he's bought some calls off me, and he's over in Tasmania hunting cats, and talked to him about hay sheds in particular, because when you're out in the paddocks, like actually where we're going later tonight, there's probably still some oats that they've cut up into bales. We'll see when we get there, but you'll see the heat in the camera. As they're breaking down, they're generating their own heat, and when you look inside a hay shed, it's quite warm in there. So that attracts the rodents. Obviously, there's food for them in there too. Just see what this is. Probably too big to be a fox, but maybe not. Oh, that really might be one actually. Yeah, it is. I think it is. It's just ducked into those trees there. Going back to what I said earlier on, that animal knows we're here now, so there's no use trying to bloody whistle and carry on to get it in. I'll shoot over here into the side of that paddock and poke my nose back in, and I'll try and call it over to us in a few minutes' time. But at the end of here, this row of trees here are all paperbark trees. And that's what I was talking to you about before, saying that in and amongst those, that's where all the crickets and bloody lizards and frogs and whatnot are. And And it's just a little smorgasbord for the foxes there. So I was actually going to pull up just maybe another 50 metres ahead of us for a call, but now we've seen that one off to the left there. It was in that tree there, I think. And we know it's there. We might as well try call that one in. Where I think I can get a shot, I'll probably go just past this grass here. Where I think I can get a shot on the ones that come out of the paper bark, if that in fact does happen, which I suspect it probably will. And then also keep an eye on these ones here to the left. So I've set the vehicle up that there's an animal there, but it's up pretty high. I suspect it's probably a roo. Can you see it just here? That little white speck just there? Can you see that white speck?
Yeah.
It's hard to tell how high the foliage is between us and them. If it dips and then in the background it's higher, potentially that is a couple of fox cubs walking around on the edge of that bush. No, it's not. But normally if they're popping in and out, like you can see here, you can see a bit of brightness and then it disappears. That's roos feeding, popping their heads up and feeding again. That's almost certainly roos. But yeah, like I say, if you can't actually see the terrain in the background, it's hard to know. But that's where the fox was, over near those roos anyway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up, turn off the vehicle, turn off the lights, pop it in gear. Oh. So this is set up to shoot. All I've got to do is put the bolt down, and then I'll just sit here for a couple of minutes, maybe a minute or so, with the engine off, and then I'll have a couple of squeaks on the call and see if I can't get something moving. What I'm going to try first off is this here it's actually a deer caller. It makes a noise like a distressed fawn, deer fawn. I've got a few of these on their way to the US at the moment, and then a couple in Vic, a couple in New South Wales. We don't have many deer in WA. There are deer here. There's reds and fallows. But yeah, the ones over east at the moment are calling in sandbars. They're doing surprisingly well. But I'm going to try this for a fox tonight. I'm just going to bite down on the end of the reed here and see if I can't make a little sort of cheeping noise, and see if I can pull a fox in. I'm pretty confident it'll work, but we'll see how we go. And for the time being, I think I might turn this light off, mate. Yeah.
Yep.
Just to...
What about if we go red light?
Yeah, do that, yeah. We'll put a red light over this.
Yeah, we can
Yeah,
put a
go
red
on.
light over there.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's see if we can rig this up.
You need a whisper, by the way.
Okay.
Okay.
Looks pretty nice.
Yeah, it looks really nice. Alright. Just do one last check.
The way you see your eyeliner in this. Looks beautiful, man.
Oh, thanks, mate. Yeah, can you hear those sheep?
Yeah.
They're easily 200 metres away. That fence is about 200, 250 from where we are.
Right.
So if you can clearly hear it and identify it as a sheep and not a pig, a goat, a deer, whatever, you know, these foxes have much better hearing than we do. So any of this sort of moving around, clunking around, chatting, opening and closing doors, they can hear that, you know. That's why we've had to give them a bit of time.
it's a hard thing to do when you're hunting because you know, you want to get into them, but you'll get more by doing it the right way. So what I've done now is I've just basically scanned the whole area that I'll be shooting and just made sure there wasn't one just sitting there. And now I'll just start to make a bit of noise. As I was saying before, we start off making a small amount of noise. If we blow one of the loud whistles right now, and something's close, there's a chance we'll just scare it off. I'm 99% sure I put that Denfield in here. Yeah, I did. That's just how it happens. That's where it normally lives. This style call, it's called a Tenterfield. And it's loosely based on the old shepherd's whistle, which has been around for at least a couple of thousand years, that they used to call their dogs and direct their dogs in the hillsides. And I'm not seeing any movement in close for that little squeaker. It is what it is. I'll give this one a blow and see if I can't get some movement. With the Tenterfield call, they react either really positive or really negative to it, right? So if they're close and you scare them, they're just gone. If they're far away, they tend to just, they come in like a beeline. And you can't really get just one opportunity to shoot them and then that's it. So it could all happen very, very quickly in a second. We'll see how we go. Is a fox. It's off to our left hand side, so I'm going to have to open my door in order to be able to shoot it. It's just come barreling in from the left and it's stopped now having a sniff around doing its foxy goodness, so it's not looking at us.
Yep. Yeah, I've just got to do that. I've just got to line them up first. So just out here are two small fox cubs. They've just come into this paddock off the neighbouring property off to the left there, and slowly walking away from us. Look, you know, it's not ideal shooting such young animals, but these ones turn into big animals that cause problems. So I'd say they're probably around, I don't know, 120 metres maybe. Hey! I'm gonna go check on his buddy probably. there's no real structure to those small foxes, unless you hit a bit of bone, the round from the 223 just won't open up inside it and kill it. So what I'll do is I'll come to this one here that's dead. I don't know, in here somewhere. There it is. And then the other one went straight into the bushes across there. So I'm just going to go for a quick walk, mate, and see if I can find it.